Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamline Legal, where we help attorneys gain control of their practice and keep it. And today I wanted to tell you about an event I went to on Tuesday. I had the great opportunity to see John Morgan and his son Matt speak from Morgan and Morgan. And honestly, I had no idea who they were before I went to this event. And I was so delighted and had such a great experience that I'm so glad I went. They told the best story and made the best case for practice management software that I've ever heard. And it goes a little something like this. For those of you that don't know John Morgan, he built a national practice starting with personal injury law in Florida. And so at a certain point in the practice, he had a number of offices across the country and a number of attorneys in those offices. And as he describes it, they were all kind of doing their own thing. You know, obviously they were all doing practice personal injury law and, reporting to him. But, as far as how they were doing things and what was going on with their cases, he had no way to know that or to track that. And so at the time, they were very paper-centric, file cabinet-centric, as he calls it. And in order to find out what was going on in any of those cases, you basically had to go be there and look in the file cabinet. And so that wasn't very practical, of course, for him trying to grow this firm. And so that's when he and his son decided to figure out a new way or a different way to do things. And they did end up eventually adopting a practice management software. And so as he tells it, the software really enabled him to get a better control on his firm and know what was happening with any given case at any given time in any given situation. And so the idea that, he felt this personal responsibility that his name was on the firm, his name was on the door, and any client walking in was going to expect a certain level of representation that he wasn't able to give them at that time because of the idea that each of the attorneys in their different offices were kind of doing their own thing. And so by using that practice management software and really culminating, all this different information that he had and all the different materials that he was able to put together, then he had a much better idea of what was going on at his firm at any given time. And so that was just, I thought, such a great story. Now, of course, you don't have to have a huge law firm such as he did. I think obviously the bigger the firm, the greater the need. But even with a smaller firm, the practice management software is still going to do the same thing for you. It's still going to give you information that you may not have otherwise had or would have had to go through great lengths to be able to find and get. And so really, for me, practice management software became pretty critical when I got to a point where I couldn't remember every one of the details of every one of my files. And I was still a solo at that point. But any time that you're bringing on more people or multiple people to help you, that practice management software is just going to become more and more critical. And so the reason that I wanted to get on here today and tell you about this experience was, of course, if you have the opportunity to go hear John Morgan or his son Matt speak, I would definitely highly recommend it in the future. But that wasn't even the whole point. The idea was that I didn't know these people before I went to this event. The only reason that I went, frankly, was because a number of people that I trust and that that I think very highly of had gone to a similar event and recommended it. So it was on their recommendation that I decided to take this step. And, I didn't know anybody there except for one gentleman that was a great pleasure to see. But I didn't know a lot of people there. And so it really was a chance for me to get outside of my bubble, so to speak, get outside of the people that I talk to and interact with every day. And it was a great experience because I learned a ton and I met a bunch of new attorneys that I hadn't otherwise known. And so my recommendation to you guys to take away from this is to get outside of your bubble. Get outside of the people that you're talking to on a regular basis. Do this with some regularity. Maybe start a mastermind group, start a group, not a support group where we complain about everything, but rather a mastermind group where we come up with ideas that are going to help all of us so that we can all grow together. And I would recommend to you that this is probably not a group that you're already a part of. It's probably not found at your local bar association. Bar associations typically have different agendas. But go ahead and create one, if you don't know of one near you. That's the great thing about Facebook. Facebook is fantastic in that, it is a great resource to be able to be introduced to other people locally near you that have similar interests. So if you don't know of one or you're not sure how to start one, let me know. I'm happy to put you in touch with people. I know attorneys all across the country that would be more than willing to enter into this kind of idea, even if they're not local. Some kind of video screen share thing might work. And then my second reason for telling you this story and bringing this to your attention is that I want people to just stop making excuses for why you don't know what's going on in your cases. I meet attorneys all the time that, there's too many cases, or, my assistant does that, or, it's your firm, you're the owner, you're the one, the buck ultimately stops with you. So we want to make sure that there's so much technology and so many systems out there these days that can help you, even as a solo or a small firm, to be able to have that kind of information at your fingertips and be able to know what's going on with any of your cases at any given time, no matter what's happening. You want to be able to take full advantage of that. And I will suggest to you, if you're using a spreadsheet still to track your cases, then you're hanging on by a thread. That's risky, in my opinion, and is going to not serve you well in the future. And, back in 2003, I worked at a firm that was fully integrated into their practice management software and used it completely. And that was 16 years ago. So I really feel like there's a ton of opportunity out there for attorneys these days to be able to take advantage of the technology that's there, to be able to make sure that they are in complete control and knowledge of everything that's happening in their firm. And again, I don't mean to imply that I'm going to have it memorized or that I'm going to know off the top of my head, but with a click of a button, I can pull up my phone or I can pull up my computer and see exactly what's going on and have my fingertip on the pulse of what's going on with this firm. So I was fortunate enough while I was there to get a copy of John Morgan's book, You Can't Teach Vision, which I'm super excited about. Apparently it's the second. There was also You Can't Teach Hungry, which I also want to find. And then Don't Eat the Bruises, which was written by Keith Mitnick, one of the other presenters at the presentation. And he is one of the trial attorneys at Morgan & Morgan. He did an awesome presentation on voir dire. So again, if you ever get a chance to see these guys, definitely go. But more importantly, even if they're not around, get outside your bubble. Go meet other attorneys, see what they're doing, and be able to take advantage of that community. So until I have more to share after reading these books, I will check in with you guys later. Have a great afternoon.